Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper and today I'll be reviewing Devil May Cry 4, which was released back in 2008 on January 31st. Now, the main plot of this game is that this character called Nero has to go to this ceremony, but during the ceremony it gets interrupted by Dante, and he finds out that that Nero has this like demon arm that's in a sling, and basically not Dante, Nero is tasked of capturing Dante and getting answers. And yeah, I think this is an interesting kind of plot because we don't really see well, in terms of the beginning of the story, we don't really see a new perspective. The only one that I can see that kind of comes close is in Devil May Cry 2, where we get to see a new, because in Devil May Cry 2 you get to choose two different paths, which are kind of similar. There's Dante and Lucia, but I would say that's where the similarities kind of end, I would say, because the less we talk about Devil May Cry 2, the better. And yeah, I would say this is interesting, and that means we get to experience a new character and get to see their motivations and seeing all the people they interact with. And I think Nero is an interesting character to follow, and yeah, and I do like some of the ways he interacts with his the other characters, especially his love interest, like how he kind of wants to protect her and that kind of thing. And yeah, and when it comes to the other Devil May Cry games, when you compare them, I would feel this is a huge leap in the Devil May Cry series, just because I feel like I think the enemy varieties in this game, or a bunch of the enemies you get to fight, are a lot better than the ones you might fight in the other previous games, because with the demons and enemies you fight in Devil May Cry 4, a lot more colourful, I would say, but not in a sort of happy-go-lucky way, in a more demonic way, I would say, because they are demons, and they look more puppetsy, I would say, than some of the other ones, because even though some of the other enemies in like Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 2 or 3 did feel like puppets in a sort of way, it felt like they were kind of similar because they had a similar looking colour scheme, when there's some of the enemies in Devil May Cry 4 are just demonically mismatched in colours and stuff like that. And I think that's a really cool, interesting way of doing new enemy varieties, kind of like how the other games did in their own way. And yeah, and now it's time for some gameplay. So, I would say that when it comes to the Devil May Cry games, when it comes to like the combat, I would say it's very much, the same as the other Devil May Cry games, just hack and slash with enemies and just keep on leveling up, or just basically getting better combos. And I do like the whole new enemy varieties. I think there's like this new one in this game with all the puppets with the sword scythes, I would say, have a new variety of enemies. I do think they're quite interesting to fight against, and obviously I feel like this is a lot better than the combat in Devil May Cry 2. I'll always talk about how bad the combat is in that game, just because I'm not really a big fan of the combat in that game, just because, as I said before, it's slow, it feels sluggish, it feels like it takes forever for Dante just to move his sword before he's attacked by the enemies. But with every other game in the series, apart from Devil May Cry 2, I feel like the combat is probably one of the best parts about the games. I feel like it's all just fast, it's quick, it's snappy, and depending on how good you are, you can always get a lot of really cool, great combos. And for me, when it comes to Devil May Cry, I'm not the best when it comes to pull off combos. I can happily just say that I'm not the best when it comes to combos. I think I'm okay. I think it's just for me. I'm okay when it comes to just pulling off combos. I think it's just like I'm okay. I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. I'm just I think it takes. I think it's okay. And like in Devil May Cry 3, I believe, you will see a green bar where the combos are, and that basically tells you like how much better you're doing with your combos. So yeah, I think that's a really good indicator of where your combos are and that sort of stuff. And as always, you get different orbs. So the red orbs are basically, I believe, you upgrade your weapons and stuff with that. The green orbs, basically health, and you get a variety of other orbs within the game, just as a sort of, that can help you with your health, your devil trigger, that sort of stuff. So I think that's really cool of how, again, the Devil May Cry series all have different ways of helping you throughout the game with how you might want to try and tackle each area. And I think that's really cool. And also as well, like in every Devil May Cry game, you fight for various enemies in various set pieces, which I think is quite cool because then you can basically use the environment around you, and also depending on where you are, a lot of the environment will probably hold orbs and stuff like that. So yeah, that's been it for the gameplay. Now to go back to the review. So overall, I would say that Devil May Cry 4 is an interesting game compared to the others, because I think it's a lot better than Devil May Cry 2. But overall, in terms of sales, this one didn't do too well from what I know, and this made Capcom developers go and make, along with Ninja Theory, the DMC game, which didn't do as well as Devil May Cry 4, which then we got Devil May Cry 5 a few years later, and I think that's kind of hilarious, in which the sales of Devil May Cry 4 made the developers go and find someone to sort of make a reboot of their game, and then that make the reboot game not doing so well as the fourth installment of the series, so that made the developers of the series make a fifth game in the series. So I think that's quite funny and quite hilarious. But yeah, I would say overall, Devil May Cry 4 is an interesting game. I have enjoyed it, and I think it has some nice elements to it, and overall just nice enjoyable game with some cool new characters and stuff like that. It's not like and just bringing old characters like Dante and others from the previous games, but also brings in new characters and new weapons and stuff like that, and new enemies to face and stuff like that. And I think overall just a nice enjoyable beat 'em up game. Kind of like all the combos and stuff. And even though personally I'm okay. I'm not the best, like I've been saying with all my other Devil May Cry games, or reviews that I've been talking about. I'm not the best when it comes to doing big combos. I'm okay. I'm not the best. I would say I'll try and improve on that. But overall, Devil May Cry 2, no, not Devil May Cry 2, Devil May Cry 4 is an interesting game, and I think it has some nice elements to it. So yeah, so that's been my review for Devil May Cry 4. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.